It's a great day to be in real estate. This is Duanebeisner, sales manager and sales representative for ERA. Hey, for the quote of the day, the tragedy of life does not lie in reaching your goals. The tragedy lies in not having any goals to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. By Dr. Benjamin Mays. For the joke of the day, a cannibal entered the meat market to buy something nice for dinner. The owner greeted him and told him to look around. Cannibal began to inspect the meat case and noticed the market specialized in brains. Wow. Upon further inspection, he noticed a marked disparity between the cost of brain meats. A carpenter's brain sells for $1.50 a pound. A plumber's brain sells for $2.25 a pound. Then he noticed with alarm that a politician's brain sells for $375 a pound. With not just a little curiosity, he asked the owner why the huge difference in price between the similar meats. The owner responded with a deadpan look on his face. Do you realize how many politicians it takes to get a pound of brains? So for the tip of the day, the business tip of the day, one of the fastest ways to get a promotion is to train someone to do your job equal or better than you. Think about that. All right, Darwin Award of the day. Okay, this is a posting from a gentleman who was in the Marines, and he was bottom enlisted. NCO was required to stand 24-hour watch together. One evening, he showed up for duty to find the NCO limping and covered with dozens of fresh scabs. He was reluctant to reveal what caused his injuries until this person promised not to tell. And this person lived with that promise for 30 years until now. And he's actually telling the Darwin Awards about it. All right, so this was this NCO. It's a friend that we'll call, say, Dutch. And these guys would do just about anything for a laugh, okay? So the two NCOs end up working together in a squadron truck, had an idea for a few good laughs. Dutch had possessed a great upper body strength, and he had been a Greco-Roman wrestler in high school and was an active weightlifter. Dutch would put his arm outside the window, hang on to the door handle under his armpit, and when his buddy made a left turn, Dutch would open the door and swing out with the centrifugal force of the turn, riding the door under his arm. Sounds like fun, huh? Well, these two were having a few laughs with their flying door routine. All was well and good until one turn brought the door too close to a fire hydrant. The hydrant caught the door corner and the door rebounded, slamming shut and sending Dutch sailing across the vinyl bench seat and slamming into his friend with enough force to knock open the driver's door and eject the driver from the vehicle. So Dutch managed to recover the wheel and prevent the NCO from being run down. Both men were in pain for weeks. And this being the military, both spent long hours in extra duty. After all, they were risking U.S. government property. Wow. Okay, for social commentary, it's been a long time since we heard about the United States and China, but I thought this was rather interesting here. If the China's satellites and spies were working properly, there would have been a flood of unsettling intelligence flowing into Beijing headquarters of the Chinese Navy last week. A new class of U.S. super weapon had suddenly surfaced nearby. It was an Ohio-class submarine, which for decades, carried only nuclear missiles targeted against the Soviet Union and then Russia. But this one was different. For nearly 3 years, the U.S. Navy has been dispatching modified boomers to those who know what. To those who know where. I mean, they do travel underwater after all. 4 of the 18 ballistic missile subs no longer carry nuclear-tipped Trident missiles. Instead, they hold up 154 Tomahawk cruise missiles each, capable of hitting anything within 1,000 miles with non-nuclear warheads. So that capacity makes watching these particular submarines especially interesting. The 14 Trident-carrying subs are useful in the unlikely event of a nuclear Armageddon, and Russia remains their prime target. But these Tomahawk-outfitted quartet carry a weapon that the U.S. military has used repeatedly against targets in Afghanistan, Bosnia, Iraq, and Sudan. That's why the alarm bells would have sounded in Beijing on June 28th when the Tomahawk-laden 560-foot-long USS Ohio popped up in the Philippines' Subic Bay. More alarms were likely to sound when the USS Michigan arrived in Busan, South Korea on the same day, and the klaxons would have maxed out as the USS Florida surfaced also on the same day at the joint U.S. British naval base on Diego Garcia, a fly-speckled island in the Indian Ocean. In all, the Chinese military awoke to find as many as 462 new Tomahawks deployed by the U.S. in its neighborhood. Wow, who would have thought that day would ever come? There's been a decision to bolster our forces in the Pacific, said Bonnie Glaser, a China expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington. There is no doubt that China will stand up and take notice. So anyway, enough with that. We'll go on to real estate news. And on the real estate front, got a couple of different articles that we're going to talk about. First of all, what a lot of people don't really want to think about is their credit. You know, we've been through a pretty tough time here. A lot of people have less than stellar credit. But you know what? How do you get your credit improved, not just improved, but to the highest possible range? I found these tips to be probably pretty timely right now, especially if you think about getting back in and buying in this market. You do have to have good credit for the most part. So before you make a move, first of all, you need to know the most important information from your credit score that's used in determining your score. There are two things that count for 2/3 of your credit score. Those two things that count for 2/3, one, your payment history. Having a long history, making payments on time on all types of credit accounts is one of the most important items lenders consider before approving you for a loan. The second most, along with that, the second most important thing, the owed versus available credit. That compares the amount you owe versus the total amount of credit available. Your credit score can be lower when you use more than 50% of your available credit for each account. That's because when you're close to maxing out on all your credit limits, lenders see you as a higher risk and more likely to make late payments in the near future. And there are three other factors that account for that other 1/3 of your credit score. Those three factors, being not as important but are still factors, is A, the length of your credit history. In general, a credit report containing a list of accounts open for at least 10 years or more will help your credit score. The score considers your oldest active account and then averages the age of all your accounts. Second, your new credit. Opening several new credit accounts in a short period of time can actually lower your credit score. Also, multiple credit report inquiries may be seen as risky credit behavior on the near horizon and therefore can lower your credit score. But soft credit inquiries, which include requests made by you, an employer, or by a lender who pre-screens or pre-approves, have little or no impact. Also, multiple inquiries by automotive and mortgage lenders over a 30-day period count as just one inquiry. So shopping the lenders to get the best rate shouldn't hurt your score. The third item is the type of credit you use. Your mix of credit cards, retail accounts, finance company loans, and mortgage loans is considered. Your credit score ignores your age, salary, and occupation. It also does not take into account financial gifts, support you receive, or your financial assets. For this reason, credit scores are even less important for borrowers who seek loans than these factors that take this into account. So if you want to take action to increase your credit score and you want to make sure you get the highest score, you know, what's interesting is about 13% of the folks out there have credit scores of 800 points or higher on their FICO. When you look at your credit profile, or you look at their profile, they have usually 4 to 6 credit card accounts, no late payments in the last 7 years, at least one installment loan, a mortgage or a car loan with excellent payment history. They usually have an average of 10 years credit history per account and a few accounts with 20 years of good history. They also have a low number of credit inquiries, fewer than 3 in the last 6 months. They also have no bankruptcies, foreclosures, charge-offs, or collections, and they also have debt levels no more than 35% of their overall credit limits per account. Bottom line, after having a long history of making payments on time, use the right mix of credit and do not max out on your available credit. You know, those are the keys to having a great credit score so you can get back into this marketplace. All that being said, I just want to say, as I always do, this is the most important market you'll ever see, the best buyer's market you'll ever see in our day and age. So get ready. Get your credit cleaned up, talk to a lender, let's get going, and let's get into this market and buy something before those rates start to go up, all right? Give us a call if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere in the world. At ERA, we're global. Thank you for joining us, and have a successful day.